A recent investigation by Consumer Reports tested 23 popular protein supplements and found that more than two-thirds of them contain concerning levels of lead. Lead is a pretty serious neurotoxin that can have serious effects on the brain and body if consumed at high levels. So is your protein powder poisoning you? That's the topic of this week's Healthcare Triage. The Consumer Reports study used California's Proposition 65 safety benchmark, which sets an extremely low maximum allowable dose level of 0.5 micrograms of lead per day, which is significantly below the threshold that most other public health authorities use. By Prop 65 standards, several of the products tested had lead levels many times over the limit, particularly plant-based powders. Let's answer the two most important questions up front. Do these products contain lead? Yep, they likely do. Do they contain enough lead to harm your health? No, probably not. Let's dig into these further. Why is lead finding its way into these supplements in the first place? The main reason is simply environmental. Lead is naturally present in the environment, and ingredients commonly used in protein powders, including plant sources like peas and rice, can absorb trace amounts of lead from the soil, air, and water as they grow. Because protein powders concentrate these ingredients, the naturally absorbed lead shows up more noticeably in finished products. The Consumer Reports analysis also highlights the fact that dietary supplements like protein powders are regulated differently from most foods. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration does not require supplements to undergo pre-market safety testing in the same way that foods do, and the agency currently does not set specific enforceable limits on lead for these kinds of products. All of this is important background, but it's not the full picture. The Consumer Reports study made the lead levels look much scarier than they are when compared to more commonly used health-based benchmarks. The California Proposition 65 cutoff is an extremely strict standard that does not generally reflect scientifically established harm thresholds. In contrast, the FDA uses much higher reference levels, 3.5 micrograms per deciliter of whole blood, to assess lead exposure in the context of overall diet with reference values tied to actual observed health effects. When the lead levels found in the Consumer Reports testing are evaluated against the FDA reference levels, every product they tested falls within safe, acceptable ranges. Are we saying that lead exposure is no big deal? Absolutely not. Lead is a well-established neurotoxin, and there is no established safe level of exposure. Limiting unnecessary exposure is advisable, especially for children and anyone who's pregnant. However, lead exposure is entirely unavoidable if you live, breathe, and eat on planet Earth. It's very unlikely that adults consuming products like protein supplements in reasonable amounts will experience any catastrophic lead-related health problems. We will say that the Consumer Reports investigation does raise valuable points about how supplements are tested, labeled, and regulated, and it highlights that plant-based ingredients can carry more environmental contaminants simply because of where and how they're grown. By which I mean outside, in dirt. However, the narrative that typical protein shakes are poisoning people with lead just isn't realistic. So don't throw out your favorite protein powder. If you choose to take any action after reading the report, you can look for protein supplement brands with transparent testing practices or third-party certifications, and you can be mindful in general of overall protein sources in your diet. And keep in mind, most of us, even athletes, are getting plenty of protein by diet alone. Hey, did you enjoy this episode? You might enjoy this previous episode on the Flint water crisis. We'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe down below. Consider going to patreon.com/healthcaretriage where you can help support the show, make it bigger and better. We'd especially like to thank our research associates, Joshua Crow, Edward Liljeholm, and Christopher Learn, and of course, our Surgeon Admiral, Sam.